Astro Travelers, and welcome to another episode of Tales of Teyvat, a Genshin Lore Podcast. Last week, we talked about the recent event, Summer Tide, Scales, and Tales. This week, we'll be talking about our little mom and Adeptus trainee, Yaoyao.
Bork, bork, radish lovers. Are you looking for a healing dose of visuals for this week's topic? Well, hoppity hop right on over to our website. It's talesofteyvat.com, where you can charm your way into a dedicated page for every episode we do, offering pictures and videos to complement our words.
While you're on our site, check out our past seasons and special episodes, artist spotlights from the community for every episode, and some other goodies.
Finally, feel free to email us at talesofteyvatpod@gmail.com to let us know what you think of this week's episode and what topics you'd like to see in the future. Additionally, you can feel free to buy us a cup of coffee on Ko-fi if you want. It helps fund everything we do over here at Tales of Teyvat, whether it be editing the pod, to giveaways, to managing our server and getting bots for it, and blah, 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 blah.
Software.
Yeah, it's all expensive. There is no pressure, of course. We can always ask Charles to make us a cup of coffee to keep us going. But this week we're talking about Yaoyao. And I feel like Yaoyao is the character that never was for a very long time.
Oh, yeah. Because of the Dendro, you mean?
Well, it was like they talked about her, but they never really showed her.
Yeah.
Chi-Chi had a voice line about her and stuff like that, but it was like, where the fuck is Yaoyao?
Wait, did she always have a voice line about her, or did they add that in at some point? Because I always wonder about that. I don't really pay close attention to the voice lines in the game unless I'm researching an episode. So like when I'm playing the game, I never like just go into the voice lines and like browse them and look for like mentioned characters that we don't have yet. Mm-hmm. So I'm always curious, like how early do these voice lines appear?
So I'm not exactly sure when Chi-Chi's Yaoyao one came out. I know I noticed it before Yaoyao was officially announced as a playable character.
Okay.
But she had been leaked because I believe she was in like a beta test for the game or something. So people knew she was coming. And I remember one of our friends was like, where's Yaoyao? Free her from the basement. Like it felt like a race between Baizhu and Yaoyao.
Yeah.
Now, I will say when it comes to voice lines, just to answer your question, Brandon, they definitely go back and add voice lines. After they released the Midsummer Nights Whatever video that showed Signora's funeral,
mm-hmm.
They updated Child's voice lines, and he had voice lines about every Harbinger, which he had not had prior to.
Right. Yeah. And they had to edit a lot when Skara removed himself from Irminsul, right?
Yes. So they are constantly playing around. And if you do a lot of researching on the wiki for just travelers listening in, with Skara's stuff specifically, you will notice it will say like before XYZ update and after in reference to things with him.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll say like A has a voice line about him prior to this update. And once you play that event, like the voice line goes away.
Yeah.
So there have been moments where like, and there was one other character, I don't remember who specifically, where the character was announced as playable and people got voice lines about them. Mm. So they definitely go back and do that. I can't tell you for sure if Chi-Chi's voice line about Yaoyao was one of those or not, but I have this like feeling in my heart that it was
as long as you feel it in your heart.
Yeah.
She was also in the 2020 Chinese Mid-Autumn Festival. So it was the Moon Festival with Chi-Chi. So like they knew she was coming. They showed us her, they did everything, and they just waited their sweet ass time, or 3 years.
Which is interesting because if you go to Brandon's point of like, well, maybe they were waiting because she's Dendro, we met Baizhu.
Yeah.
So it felt like the race to get out of the basement for those two. Like who was going to break out of the cage first?
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, didn't Yaoyao come after Sumeru started? I thought like we already had Kale and Tainari. I know that she debuted during the Iridescence tour Lantern, right?
Yeah, in 2023. Yeah.
So I don't remember where that was in relation to Sumeru.
We were like getting ready to go into Fontaine.
Oh.
Right? Because it would have been February of 23. We were pretty hard into Sumeru at that point. I think our Fontaine leaks were coming out.
Right. Okay. So we went through like fall and half of winter. So yeah, we were already into Sumeru. So we already had a bunch of Dendro. She was just like this extra Dendro Liyue character.
Yeah, I just more so meant like since 2020, they've been hinting at Yaoyao, and since the game released, they've been hinting at Baiju.
Oh, since 2020?
It was the 2020 Chinese Mid-Autumn Fest. That is actually, yeah, so it wasn't like Lantern Rite, which would have been a little bit closer to the beginning of the game. So it was toward the end of 2020. But I think she's eating like a mooncake, I think, with Chi-Chi.
Which is actually funny because you say that if it was 2020, the game released in September of 2020 and the Moon Festival just happened, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so actually it is the beginning of time. Yeah, okay.
Right away.
That's wild. I wonder why they held on to her for so long.
Well, it's like Baiju, right? Like we knew right away that we had a Dendro character that we couldn't play, starting with Liyue.
Do you think they already knew Yaoyao would be Dendro, like from when they designed her? Because I always kind of got this vibe that Dendro was maybe not as developed as the other elements yet. But they could have also just sort of made it look like that in order to keep a lot of it sort of under wraps and to like introduce a new system at a very strategic moment in the game's trajectory.
I think it could be a little bit of both. I definitely think they knew she was going to be Dendro just because of her coloring. I feel like with the littles, they make sure that they have the color of their vision for the most part. Because I guess Chi-Chi being purple, it could be against that. But Klee is red. Diona's like got blue and pink. Like, and then Yaoyao's green. I know there are other littles, but just bear with me there. I will say in the artwork, you can't see her vision at all. But that also means they already knew where her vision was going to go. They already had Yugui in it.
Mm-hmm.
So they had an idea of who Yaoyao was.
Right. Okay.
I don't know, though. I mean, I would think that you're probably right, Brandon, is like it's a mix of the fact that they didn't know what they wanted Dendro to be, or they had a grandeur idea of what they wanted Dendro to be, but didn't know if the game would pick up. So they needed to see how well the game would be accepted and how many people would actually play it before they devoted time into developing Dendro. Because, I mean, Dendro has so many reactions and different things going on.
They could have had it all planned out and it just felt long because the beginning of the game feels like it lasted longer than it has been going now. It's like now that we're like in the swing of Genshin, time is going faster. I'm sure that like Paimon or Venti has something to do with it. You know what I mean? It's like they might have just been like, okay, so here's some Dendro characters. They might have already planned for Kale to become Dendro by sending her off to Sumeru in the manga. You know what I mean? Like they could have had it all planned because if they already had, you know, Mondstadt and Liyue set from the get-go, and then they just did like, well, next is Electro, and then we're going to do Dendro. I guess it just felt weird because we didn't have Dendro at the same time as the other elements. So it's like the odd one out.
It's also weird because there's no, in the release of the game, at least, there's no Dendro Mondstadt character.
Yeah, there's like no Dendro anywhere.
Yeah, there's no Dendro Inazuma character at the start of the game. Like, eventually we get Kirara. So you really, besides these random two people, don't get Dendro.
And Baiju is the only one you meet in game, right?
Until Sumeru released, yeah.
Which is, I think, is probably what made me think like, oh, they don't know what to do with Dendro yet.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'd see like little trickles.
Yeah, because you see everything else. Why would they? There was no reason outside of there being like a technical reason for them to hold back on Dendro.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe we're going to find out there's some interesting lore stuff that we don't know, you know?
Well, I will say it makes sense that Yaoyao was conceived like way before she was released. Because as we'll get into, she is very celebrated and beloved by everyone.
Yes. I know. I actually wanted to bring up a little bit. So what I was going to mention is that I always had this idea that maybe when Nihida was locked away in her birdcage, she couldn't really give out. And I know that this could be debunked, right? We don't necessarily know if the gods are giving out visions. But maybe Nihida's will really had to be tested to give out a vision. You know, the Dendro Archons locked in a bubble, can't get out. Like, even Celestia can't feel their power type of thing. Mm-hmm. Which would make sense that Nihida might only really be able to help people closer physically to her, except in these, like, grave situations. And with Baiju, we know that he has a contract out against his life, basically, with a snake. And Yaoyao, every single Adeptus is like, she's the bomb.com. And they all want to seem to adopt her. So, you have these strong characters.
I'm still holding fast to the theory that the actual Archons are not giving out visions, because I feel like if that were canon, we would have seen by now like an example of an Archon being like, I remember when I gave you a vision.
True. No, you're
Yeah,
right.
that's a very good point, because they do, like, some of them are very chatty.
They have like all these voice lines about the characters. It's like no one's ever been like, I gave them the vision because of X, Y, and Z.
Well, I will say, though, it could be more of like their will hitting Celestia. So, like, kind of like a satellite like kind of situation.
We playing telephone now?
Yeah, like they don't know that they're doing it, but it is their will kind of directing Celestia to do things unintentionally.
I know Neuvillette, when he sort of gained the power after the whole Focalor incident, he basically is like the power source for the Hydra visions now. And he says in his lines that he set aside like a reserve of his power to grant visions. But I don't think that they're the actual ones handing them out. I think they just like pool part of their power somewhere that is used to give the visions out to people.
I feel like you just confirmed that they're acting Celestia as a satellite for their powers.
Maybe, yeah.
Which could also be why Celestia doesn't want the Archons to go astray, because they're surviving off their energy as well.
Because they're forming their little rebellion army off of their powers. Oh, God. Well, anyway, visions and stuff aside, we'll talk more about visions.
It's the Matrix.
No.
Oh, goodness.
The Matrix, but they're all awake.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about visions in a little bit, because Yaoyao does have some thoughts about getting a vision as well. But yeah, Yaoyao released art in 2020, never seen again, basically, for years and years. And we finally get her during the 2023 Lantern Rite, where we are working with Marco Meatball to put on a music show.
I love Lantern Rites just in general, but that one was great. And that's when they, he was from Fontaine, and we kind of got that idea. And then we got the most brilliant rap ever.
No.
Oh, Lord.
I had to throw it in there.
No, you didn't. You didn't. You could have
brought it up.
ignored
You
it.
opened the door.
No, I just talked about Yaoyao.
I stuck my foot in it.
No, anyway.
So it's really cute with Yaoyao and Lantern Rite is during that time they put out a stop motion video about how you can celebrate Lantern Rite, and it's all her with Yugui, and she starts to like set off a firework, and you see like the bunnies shivering like they're all nervous.
Aww.
And then she has like a tower of Yuguis that she climbs up to like hang the Zhao lantern, and it's so cute. Like she's just a bucket of cuteness.
And during Lantern Rite, we really don't learn too much about her, except that she's a disciple of Streetward Rambler, and that she enjoys celebrating Lantern Rite. And we see her in a video with Chi-Chi.
And that she takes care of Ganyu a lot.
Yes. But if you ask other people, it's vice versa.
I know.
But yeah, Lantern Rite 2023 doesn't really give us too much of an insight into Yaoyao besides that. So Yaoyao, we come to find out, actually grew up with hermit parents, not to be confused with hermit crab parents, but hermits. And it's very funny because she very specifically is like, my parents are hermits.
Well, yeah, after she moved to the big city, she kind of looks back and is like, oh,
She's like,
my parents
ew.
are hermits.
Yeah.
They were like people who weren't into the big city life. They didn't want to live anywhere near anyone. So they like picked up and moved to the mountains, built their own home where they have a garden.
Yeah, they were originally from Liyue Harbor, and they were like, let's get out of this place. They were like New Yorkers who like move upstate. And they moved to the mountain wilds somewhere in the vicinity of Chingsei village, and they built their own house.
And then even started made a garden and grew their own fruits and vegetables. And like they were living off the land, like off the grid kind of hippies.
Yeah, that's sort of the vibe I get too. Like very secluded hippies. They would take their fruits and vegetables from their backyard and like go into Chingsei to trade them for other necessities. But they really subsisted off of that. And in fact, they had all these, vegetable and fruit patches out in their yard. Yaoyao's first steps were in the radish field behind her house, which makes a lot of sense because she loves radishes.
So silly.
Because she also throws radishes.
Yes.
She's like, take this.
She's like, bunny, radish, all good.
They're very nutritious, and she likes to take care of people, so it makes sense.
She does. It works in the fact that she is a dendro healer too.
Yeah.
And so Yaoyao was living out with her parents in the middle of nowhere. Her only friends were the squirrels, basically. And she says that she used to go outside and like talk to the clouds, talk to the rocks. Like I'd be a little concerned if I saw her like, out on her own. You'd be like, ooh.
I think you just described me as a child, or yesterday.
Yesterday.
Oh, wow. No, yesterday it would have been birds.
No, I saw a chipmunk and I yelled. I didn't mean to do it out loud, but I just went chippy.
Oh no.
Now, do you talk to the chipmunks and the rocks and the clouds about your feelings?
I say goodnight to Orion when I come in and I'm like, oh, look, it's Orion's belt. Have a good night.
Oh, the stars. Okay.
I am.
Do you say this out loud?
Sometimes, like when I yelled chippy and I didn't mean to.
Tip, do you want to go ahead and like lay down on this couch that we have right here? And I'm going to pull out my clipboard.
I sometimes do say goodnight to Orion's belt.
Charles said that we can't do any more therapy sessions in the upstairs here. Like we got yelled at last time, so we can move.
First
therapy.
of all, none of us is qualified to give therapy to any of the other of us.
No, definitely not.
I mean, Timothy Chalamet, the squirrel, might. That might be his job.
No.
Maybe that's his whole thing. I'm just talking to Timothy.
No.
Is that the talking squirrel from that one event?
No, it's just a squirrel in her fucking teapot.
He doesn't talk to you when you go there?
No. I just threatened him a few times and he doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah, you tried to kill him, is what you did.
It was an accident.
Same thing, like you made my little itty bitty Sumeru boar yeet itself off the side.
And how did that trauma make you feel?
It was very upsetting. It's very upsetting.
But anyway, so yeah, Yaoyao was I guess pulling a tiff and was outside talking to the rocks and talking to the sky, and she did that a lot, and one day they talked back. And that didn't really scare Yaoyao. It didn't freak her out, and she was hyped, and she
was delighted. Yeah.
So she continued to talk to her new friends, and then Streetward Rambler revealed herself to Yaoyao, which also didn't faze Yaoyao at all. And that's how Madame Ping, aka Streetward Rambler, chose Yaoyao as a disciple.
Yes.
So I have a question. She revealed herself. We have seen Madame Ping as Madame Ping. We have seen Streetward Rambler in the flashback videos that we got from the story from when Cloud Retainer taught us during Lantern Rite. But does she have, because I would assume she has a animal side or a picture? Like
I'm assuming.
Do you think she like revealed herself like as oh my god, I wish is she a squirrel?
No.
Was she a squirrel?
She could have been. Funjin was a goldfish. Come on.
Timothy Chalamet and Tiffany's teapot is Madame Ping.
Yeah. That's why she put him there. Oh my god, the lore is opening itself up right in front of us.
Well, it said that she like sort of dispels her illusory powers and then reveals her true form. But I don't know if there's just one true, quote unquote, true form. Like, was she a bird, or what did she reveal herself as the old lady? We don't know.
Because what do you think that Cloud Retainer's true form is?
I mean, I feel like hers is the bird, but that's just because her human form looks so much like the bird. But we know that Ping has had this old lady form since starting her life in Liyue Harbor, which was at the time that Liyue Harbor was formed, which was 3,700 years ago.
I feel like I either remember reading somewhere, or maybe it was us talking about it, that this is Madame Ping's like main form. Like she doesn't have an animal form, but that also could have been us headcanoning, and I don't remember.
Yeah, it's hard to say because we know she's an Adeptus. We know that they play loosey-goosey with like also referring to the Adepti as illuminated beasts. I mean, most of them do have an animal counterpart. So
loosey-goosey. Maybe that was Madame
Maybe
Ping.
She's a goose. She's a goose. We solved it.
Maybe she's a borking goose.
Bork.
Honk, bork, honk.
But yeah, she reveals herself, and Yaoyao, in whatever form, Yaoyao is not phased. She's like, ooh, okay. And Madame Ping invites her to be a disciple of hers. And Yaoyao's parents at first are not here for it at all. They think that Yaoyao is this innocent baby, and they think that going to the city is going to like taint her.
Yeah. Like most hippie parents would be.
Yeah. They felt their innocent daughter would be led astray by the bright lights of the big city, which is hilarious.
It's so thoroughly modern, Millie. I mean, it's ridiculous.
There was also a giant talking goose asking them to take their daughter. I mean, would you really let her go?
She wasn't a goose. She was an old lady.
It is disturbing, though, that she's like, hey, hi there. I'm an adeptus, and I would like your very young child daughter to come live with me forever. I'm going to take her away from your house, and we're going to go away into the city, and she's going to live with me, and I'm going to train her. I mean, wouldn't you be a little resistant if some weird whatever lady was like trying to take your daughter from you?
I mean, she sounds like a sexual predator.
Oh my God.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Amanda. I'm 6.
Madame Ping did have to convince the parents, and she said, perhaps solitude in the mountains shall indeed keep one from mortal stain, but such lonesomeness may not be what Yaoyao desires for her future. Let her have the chance to see the myriad faces of the world for herself. So, and that is sort of, that speech is like what convinced them to let her go. And I mean, as creepy as it is, like, thank God that she did save precious Yaoyao from her secluded hermit parents out in the boonies, because she seems to be thriving in Liyue Harbor.
Oh, yeah. She got to the big city and she went, oh, seafood. Oh, people. And like everywhere you go, it's just like she has all these new friends. She loves like sneaking aboard the Crux, although she's not allowed to do that anymore. She's always like just exploring and doing whatever she can. And she quite literally just traverses between the Adeptus abodes, the city, and then on the holidays, she goes home to visit her parents.
Yeah.
She's literally like a college student.
Is this what happens to people who are not orphans in this game? They just have like well-adjusted lives.
Yeah.
And like have the best time.
I mean, we only have one example, so.
Well, no, there's Chiori too. She has both parents.
Oh, shit.
I'm sure there's one or two others.
They're so well adjusted that they don't tell us their story. It's like when you like, you know, they do little spotlights on like the person on like American Idol, and it's like always somebody with like the saddest, craziest story. But like, you know, here's like Jim Bob, just be like, yeah, I just like to sing.
Yeah.
Got a normal life.
Fischl has both her parents, right? Doesn't Sucrose?
Yeah, as far as we know.
And technically, Yanfei's are alive. They just left her to go on an adventure.
Yes.
Again, left with another Adeptus.
I mean, Klee's mom is alive, maybe.
Abandoned.
Although,
wait, you know what I just thought of? You're saying Yaoyao was completely unfazed when the rock started talking to her and a person just appeared. Yet we talked about in our last episode how shocked Paimon was every time Alice showed up as a lamp. She was like, what? Meanwhile, little baby Yaoyao was like, cool.
That's how you know Paimon's not of the world.
Paimon's never going to be invited to be a disciple of an Adeptus.
No.
Well, I mean, you see the way she treats Cloud Retainer. Those two are going to get into a fist fight one day.
I'd like to see it.
Also, just to explain why that even happened, because I found it kind of interesting. So Yaoyao's talking to the rocks and the clouds because she's sort of, you know, being out all secluded out in the mountains. She started to sort of think of like these different aspects of nature as like her playmates. So she would literally talk to them. And when Madame Ping stumbled across that, she really identified with it because the Adepti really appreciate all of nature and the inclusivity of all nature.
Mm-hmm.
So she sort of took that as meaning like, oh, we're sort of fated for our paths to intertwine. So that's sort of why she was moved by Yaoyao enough to invite her to be her disciple.
So does this mean I should wait for Streetward Rambler to knock on my door?
I think so.
I don't know if she hasn't already.
Wow, crushing my dreams before they even start.
Wow.
Thanks, fiends.
Just age shaming.
I'm not even age shaming. I'm just saying, like,
I can be an Adeptus at 435 years old.
I am not saying you can't be. What I'm saying is that you have been a disciple loving nature for a very long time. And that is why, like, if you were telling me you just started to like nature yesterday, then yeah, you got time to figure out.
Not that I talked to the leaves when I was a child and used to daydream on the soccer field, talking to the trees.
Exactly. But I also had a question. So, these rocks that she talks to regularly, do you think that like other adepti had presented themselves to her before? And maybe that's why she wasn't as scared?
I'm going to say no. And that's simply because we know now that the other adepti love her so much that I feel like they would have snatched her up before paying.
Again, very Predator-esque. Snatched her up? Jesus Christ.
The adepti around rephrase, kidnapping.
Scooped her up with loving arms.
Okay.
You're like, nope, still creepy.
Still sounds creepy. But that's okay. I'm creepy sometimes too. It's fine.
We're all creeps here.
I'm a creep.
I'm a weirdo.
What the hell am I doing with Madam Ping?
Okay, so, Madam Ping convinces her family to let her go with her, and I don't know if that means they're good parents or bad parents. Good in the long run, but initially debatable. So Yaoyao is brought in as a disciple of Madam Ping. The only other disciple of Madam Ping's that we currently know about is Zhongling.
Yeah, because I guess Yanfei technically isn't her disciple. She just is like a boarder.
She's just friends with Madam Ping.
Like she took her in because she had her parents.
She's Yanfei's caretaker. She's she's like her caretaker after her parents went off on a journey. But yeah, Zhongling is her disciple and Yaoyao's quote unquote senior, even though we all know who the real senior is in that relationship.
Well, my favorite story is that Yaoyao went to visit Zhongling the one day and she was trying to eat raw octopus. And Yaoyao just like went at it with her and was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You can't eat that. You're gonna die. Like she started freaking out on her. And then she went to get Madam Ping and then made Madam Ping come back and berate Zhongling, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious.
Very teacher's pet.
Also, though, interesting because Yaoyao all of a sudden loves seafood. Like, even Ningguang knows that. Ningguang says that we should try to convince Yaoyao to eat more fruit because she's too obsessed with seafood right now. But Yaoyao does not know much about seafood because she is convinced that Osial is an octopus that you can eat.
Which I think is adorable.
She's like, oh, that thing? Yeah, that's an octopus. Yeah, we can eat it. Sounds good. I'm like, no.
Just grill it first.
Do you think that they were frying up like pieces of Osial after the giant fight?
Oh, no, I hate
gross.
that. Oh my God, what would Baish think? Oh my God, Osial sushi rolls. I mean, we can't put anything past Zhongling, though.
Yeah, and she did want to eat Paimon immediately.
Yeah, she would eat Madam Ping if she could. Like, she would eat anything.
Yeah, that's very true. And apparently Yaoyao and Madam Ping aren't having it, so that's good at least. And we know that Shenhe works part-time in the Wanmin restaurant now too, which is a little scary. Just thinking that she would definitely serve Osial on a plate.
Oh, yeah.
She would kill someone and serve it on a plate, I think.
Although, I mean, does she have any room after she just ate all of her, random herbs and pieces of grass?
Her handfuls of violet grass.
Yeah.
I mean, she might be full, but she can serve it.
True. We ran out of this. Let me just go grab a piece of Osial.
Ew.
She definitely would be like that person. Like if a group of people from Teyvat got stranded in the snow for a prolonged period of time and there was no food around and people were dying, Shenhe would be the one to like start up the barbecue.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She'd be like, who are we eating first?
Yeah.
But this is a very random question. Can you eat raw octopus? Don't people eat raw? I don't eat any seafood or fish, so excuse my ignorance, but
I don't either.
I guess I shouldn't be asking the vegetarian. Asking the vegetarian and then the picky person.
Okay, so you can eat raw octopus, but it's very
I hate it.
It's very risky
They're
'Cause
so
the ink?
smart. Ugh.
It's just considered more dangerous than eating most other types of raw fish.
Because the ink and stuff, like they can like poisonous.
I really don't know, to be completely honest. And I
I
know
got
that's
questions.
sometimes when people serve raw octopus, like it's still like alive, like it's like squeaming about still.
Mhm. It like crawls up your esophagus after you swallow
Oh
it and chokes
no!
you. I'm just kidding.
I honestly totally thought that was the truth.
No.
I was like, what? Oh
Imagine
my
when you ate it, its
God.
little suckers got stuck to your throat while it's going down.
Ah!
Apologies to octopus eaters. I have a friend who loves cooked octopus, but like I've known her from the majority of my life and she has never stopped trying to get me to eat octopus. And I'm like, Anna, I don't even eat like a shrimp. Why am I eating an octopus? She thinks if she says it to me in Spanish, I'll fall for it. I'm like,
Oh
no. Like pulpo, no.
You're like, I've learned that one.
I know that word. I might not be able to say rainbow, but I do know that pulpo is octopus.
Well, sushi aside, and I think it was Brandon who brought up earlier a little bit about how Ganyu is also in charge of Yaoyao, and that's an interesting story all in itself. So Yaoyao loves playing on the crux, and Beidou loves Yaoyao, so she was letting it happen. But every time Yaoyao would play on the crux, they would end up leaving port like at the last second, because they'd have to kick Yaoyao off. It'd be a big pain in the ass to get her off this boat.
Yeah, because she would give them puppy dog eyes.
Yeah. Or bunny eyes, I prefer.
Well, Beto literally says, but then she would give the puppy eyes.
Oh, yeah. I know, but Beto should get creative.
Oh, I see.
So then Ganyu is like, yeah, someone at the Ministry of Civil Affairs asked me to watch Yaoyao and make sure she doesn't go on the crux. And then Ningguang says, oh yeah, Yaoyao, that's the girl Ganyu's taken under her wing. And she's basically like, Beidou had something to do with Ganyu being in charge, but I don't know what, and I'm just letting it happen.
But in reality, Yaoyao is Ganyu's caretaker.
Oh yeah, but also,
Yeah.
but so what happened though that made it so that Ganyu was put in charge? Like, do you think Beidou went to Yelan?
Oh no, I think she went to Ningguang.
But Ningguang plays. It says that she doesn't know.
Oh, she knows. She knows everything.
She always knows.
I feel like she knows that she wasn't involved, because she says, do not worry, I have no plans to make the matter public. I'm content to extend some leniency to the odd bit of mischievousness maneuvering by the boat captain. So I don't feel like she was directly involved.
It's not the first time she's like some maneuvering by the boat captain.
Oh.
Well, I'm just saying, if Yelan is, in their throuple, it would make sense that she might have gone to Yelan and been like, hey.
Oh, true. I forgot about that throuple.
Well, it's a throuple, or it's the ex that keeps coming back. So Beidou could have been like, hey, you keep going back to my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do this and I'll let it keep happening. You can play chess with her.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Some interesting stuff is going on still between those three.
I just figured because Ningguang is Ganyu's boss, right? So I could see her being like, take care of this. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like Ningguang would have been like, I told Ganyu to take care of her and keep her off the Krugs. But, I could also see her pulling strings behind the scenes and being like, hey, why don't you, make sure that this doesn't happen anymore so that my pirate that does all the illegal shit that I can't do on the books can leave port in time.
You may have figured it out right there. That is the reason.
It's interesting though too, because like Ganyu's exact words afterwards, she goes, oh, you want to know what the Ministry of Civil Affairs does? Oh, who knows? Am I right? Who knows what they do? And not me.
Yeah, what was that about?
I don't know. And I feel like that's supposed to be like a Yelan thing. Because we know Yelan is like, she says that she's in the ministry, but we don't know for sure type of thing. And we know that the ministry is like the people who closed off the chasm for so long. So I don't know. There's something weird going on. I feel like Ganyu was hinting at it.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, so that's how Ganyu ends up being cared for by Yaoyao, even though she's supposed to be in charge of Yaoyao. But I feel like Ganyu is unintentionally keeping Yaoyao busy, which keeps her away from the boat.
Yeah. And I mean, Ganyu needs a little bit of help in general.
But even if she didn't, I mean, that's just part of Yayao's personality. Like, she's called the little adult. She does the same thing to Zhongling. She is like constantly trying to like take care of everyone. So even people that are in her circle that are older than her, she ends up trying to take care of them in a very weirdly motherly way.
Well, and she does it with Madame Ping, who literally doesn't need the basic stuff the humans need.
Yeah, but with Madame Ping, it's cute because it's kind of like, you know, they have like a very grandmother-granddaughter relationship. And it's sort of like when your grandma gets too old to take care of herself, you know, like if they were raising their grandchild will often parent them.
Yeah.
Like to pay back them parenting, you know, that themselves. So that is like really cute. And I'm not sure how much of Yaoyao sort of keeping that, like, let me take care of these older people around me, how much of that is like tied into her love of Ping and how much is just like, that's just her. Like, she's just a little adult.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's built into her.
I kind of do too. Yeah.
Because she does it to everybody. I feel like it's, you know, it's part of her.
Second nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's funny because she does, like, Madame Ping is like, you know, I don't need this, right? She's making her soup and like giving her an extra blanket. And Madame Ping's like, I'm magical.
I'm magical and I'm
like, I'm not actually an old lady.
Yeah. I just look like this in the harbor.
Yeah, like I could choose any form I wanted to. I literally was a rock the other day.
You know what I thought was cute too? Just going back to her little rock friends. Yaoya's design, she has these bells in her hair. And as she runs around, there's sounds of bells. But because she's so in tune with nature, it doesn't scare away any of the critters, including the crystal flies or anything like that. So if you ever need to like sneak up on an animal, be Yaoyao.
Or Aloy.
Well, that's because nobody knows that she exists. So she's just fake walking around.
Poor Aloy. I really hope she made it through that portal to get back home where people like her.
Yeah. She's having a shitty ass time in Teyvat. Yeah. People are like, I got this chick. I can't like improve her at all. She's just here.
I'm just saying, when you're Aloy, you can sneak up on Timmy's pigeons and they don't fly away. Yeah.
I can't do that.
Because she's a hunter.
All right. Yeah. Well.
You're like, I might have to break her out.
No.
And go kill some pigeons.
No, I'll just be Tinyari for that.
Side note, talking about Timmy's pigeons, if you haven't and you've gotten the Mondstadt Daily to go talk to Timmy and go feed the ducks some wheat, after you feed them the wheat, and I don't condone animal violence, kill the ducks, the geese, it is an extremely funny like chain of events that happens outside of like Timmy telling you he never wants to see you again, which I was like, good.
The feeling's mutual.
Yeah. You get sent to a sister to like repent. You have to make him something.
I know, I hate that part though, because you're forced to apologize to him.
Make him a fucking hash brown.
I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm abandoning this.
I will leave this daily undone.
Oh my god. Poor Timmy. Barbados.
He had it coming.
No, this isn't the cell block tango. No.
He's the anti-Yaoyao.
The anti-Timmy. No, he feeds the ducks. He's trying to be Yaoyao.
He told me that he was going to go tell his mom on me, and I was like, hey, go tell your dad.
Oh my god. Orphan. Half orphan.
Why is my favorite pastime like beating up on Timmy?
Anyway, back to Yaoyao. So Yaoyao, of course, is a disciple of Madame Ping. So she therefore has to train. And Yaoyao started training with Madame Ping before she could even read, which was troublesome. So Madame Ping decided that she would start off by helping her read books of poetry. I don't really know if that helps a kid or not. Like, to just like be like, you can't read or write anything. Here's a tome of poetry for you.
Yeah. Read it every day.
Yeah, and that's what she did. So that she helped her read all this poetry, and as she started to grow older, Streetward Rambler would start to show her all of these different like adeptal rites. So different ways of using the spear and different like ceremonies and things that they did. And I have to say that I would love to see these trainings. I'd love to see Madame Ping wielding a polearm with Xiangling and Yaoyao, because we all know that Yaoyao is like, what, a third of the size of a polearm? And Madame Ping is probably half the size of a polearm.
I love it.
Yeah, she can hardly like wheel the thing around, but she has so much like tenacity that she's like, I can do it. I'm good. I can't read this book of poetry, but I'm going to read it. I can't hold this polearm, but I'm going to do it.
And Yaoyao does admit that she sometimes has a really hard time clutching onto the concepts. Like, her brain just isn't developed. Enough to like...
She's a baby.
Yeah, she's just like not developed enough to grasp some of the concepts, and it makes her like a little self-conscious, and she starts to second guess herself as a disciple, which also goes a little bit into why she has issues with her getting a vision. She's also very perplexed as to why she got a vision. She's always had this idea that people get a vision because they've done something extraordinary, and she doesn't feel like she's done anything extraordinary. So she almost feels like she's undeserving of having a vision while also feeling undeserving of being a disciple of an adepti.
Can we talk about her getting her vision? Because I found it very clear in the lore how she actually received it.
Oh, how?
Well, it doesn't really explain it. It just explains her confusion
Unclear.
as to why she got it. Now, it does say that as she's sort of like thinking about like, why did I get this? Is it because of this? Is it because of that? Maybe I'm not meant to understand yet because I'm still growing and I'll understand later. And then she sort of gives out this sigh as she's hugging a dog that followed her up the slope behind Liyue Harbor. And I'm like, did she literally just get the vision by hugging the dog? Or was she hugging the dog while she was thinking about why she got the vision already?
I thought it was why she got the vision, because she said that she started to second guess it like a day or two after getting it.
Right, but that's before she talks about hugging the dog.
Right, I thought that the dog was during her self-reflective moment.
So you think that she got the vision because she hugged the dog?
No, I think she got the vision the day before she hugged the dog.
Oh, right, okay. So yeah, I feel like it's unclear. Like if you read it, it's like my first thought was like, oh, that she was thinking about this while she was hugging the dog and like reflecting. But then it could also be like she was thinking about this because it just happened shortly after she was hugging the dog. Because the only reason I say that is because hugging a dog that had followed her up a hill makes sense as like the thing that would give her a vision, because it's like, it's a dog and it just followed someone up a hill. And I could see her being like, oh my God, you followed me and you went all the way up this hill. Let me give you a hug. Because the whole reason that she was selected by Ping is because of her treasuring of nature and everything in nature and sort of having that respect for everything. So I could see her being sort of rewarded by something mundane like that. But at the same time, I'm like, the way they lay it out, it's like it could easily just be like, no, she was just thinking about her getting the vision like, a couple days ago while she was having this moment with this dog.
I mean, it's totally possible, especially for a kid to be like, normally a kid would be fearful of a dog that followed them. So it makes sense. It's a good idea. Otherwise, we have no idea why she got a vision.
I just feel like if it had been because of that, it would have described it like suddenly as she was hugging the dog, a vision appeared on its collar.
Yeah, that's true. Usually it's like it appeared in her pocket, it appeared here. Well, maybe she thought it was the dog's vision. I don't know.
There are I want to say maybe 3 or 4 characters that do have this discrepancy where it does not specifically tell us exactly how they got the vision. It just talks about their reaction to having it.
Diluc's one of those, right?
I forget who it is, but I know there's others.
Yeah, I just remember with Diluc, we know that he has it already for his 18th birthday. And it's like, that's it. There's no concrete story.
Yeah, it bugs me. I'm like, I want to know how everyone got their vision.
Yeah. It seems like a really important thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are so sus of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, including Yaoyao.
Yeah.
She says even that she talked with Madame Ping, and Madame Ping was like, you getting a vision just means the gods are pleased with you. But Yaoyao's like, I don't know about that. So she's 7 and is even perplexed about what all this means.
Who do you think was the most excited when they got a vision? Because we know a lot of the stories, or at least they stick out to me, of the ones who were just like, what the fuck is this? Or why'd I get this? But I don't know. I feel like Ito had a party.
Yeah. The first thing that came to mind was when Kale got her vision, but I don't think she was the one excited. I think Tenyari was, because he found her. She'd like gone out to like save someone in the forest or like to guide someone, and they got attacked by tigers. And she got a vision and was able to like save their lives. But like Tinyari showed up to the scene and assumed that everyone was dead. And like his heart like sank. And then Kali was like, nah, man, I got a vision. And he was like, oh, thank God.
So I don't think it was described as such in her lore, but I could see Barbara being really excited by getting a vision, but then pretending like she's not.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I was just doing my duty and like healing this poor little boy. But look which pop star got a vision. And then she puts out her new single.
Everybody's clapping, yelling, hooting, and hollering.
She like immediately learns like new choreography for her smash hit single, I Got a Vision.
Do you think that she was mad it was an animo?
Do you think she was mad that it wasn't for a dead friend?
Well, none of them put two and two together with that, but she praised the Barbados every day.
Yeah.
She's always sitting there praying to the Barbados.
Immediately, I'm like, was she sad that the kid didn't die? And then she got that, like she actually healed him? So she didn't.
Well, I'm sure at first she was like, shouldn't I have an animo vision? And then Alice came in with like her manager hat on and was like, this is fabulous. Listen, I drew up a new contract for you. The label's gonna be here in 20 minutes and we're gonna sign this, we're gonna make this happen, okay? You're a star. And she was like, I got this.
But yeah, Yaoyao. There was one other interesting thing with Yaoyao I wanted to bring up, which is her constellation.
Yes.
Yeah, so her constellation is something osmanthus. What's osmanthus? Her outfit is cherub something osmanthus. But osmanthus wine, like what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, it's actually also in real life, it's a flower, type of flower, a species of flowers. I think there's like a bunch of them that are fit under it. And that's the little insignia that's on her pouch is actually an osmanthus flower.
Yeah. And there's a lot of osmanthus that's used IRL to make rice wine.
Mm-hmm.
And also Pepsi makes an osmanthus flavored soda for their Chinese market.
Shut up. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
You can only get it like, domestically in China.
See, that's why Pepsi needs like, how like Coke has that thing in Disney that you can try all the Cokes around the world. Mm-hmm. Pepsi needs that. Need some osmanthus Pepsi.
Yeah, I would love to try it.
Do you think that like it's possible that her parents grow osmanthus and like sell osmanthus to wineries?
Yeah, it could be. I also am pretty sure that they like grow pot and Kazua's like their best customer.
Oh my God.
They're hippies.
Yeah, I could see it.
If anybody's growing pot in Teyvat, it's those guys.
Yeah, they like literally left the city, went out into the boonies, built their own house just so they could have the perfect backyard for growing.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to bother them out there type of thing.
Mm-hmm. They're away from the millilith. They're away from the chasing.
I'm sorry. I laughed so hard because in my head, I just wait. Are they away from the Gardamex?
Oh my gosh.
No.
Wait, in the middle of the from Liyue now?
They're away. They got away from the shogunate.
Where are the Knights of Favonius when you need them?
They're probably high.
I think I might be right now.
Oh no.
Well, I don't know what is my problem with the millilith and just the coppers in general. I have them all messed up. One day.
We'll get there.
But I mentioned Yugwe before too, her bunny. We mentioned this in another episode before. I think it was when we talked about Cloud Retainer in that episode. So this bunny that she has that she loves very much is an Adepti magical device. And Streetward Rambler actually thought to herself, you know what, I'm going to make her something that's going to protect her, something that I had when I was younger. And as she had this thought, Cloud Retainer was like, haha, beat you to it, bitch, and made one herself because that's Cloud Retainer. And because they love Yaoyao so much. So she made it, and the whole thing, she told Yaoyao, like, the bunny's there to help you and protect you. But then like on the side, she's like, hey, Streetward Rambler, in case you can't find this little girl, you can just call out Yugwe and you'll see, like, you'll find where she is, but you really shouldn't do that when she gets older because she'll want her own privacy. So I was like, I'm glad that was your concern.
She's like, I know this because of Shenhe.
Yeah. Shenhe sometimes does some stuff that I don't want to know where she is.
Yeah, and she like is about to launch into like this whole talk about like her relationship with Shenhe, and Madam Ping's like, no, I got it. We're good. We're good here.
Good.
Thank you very much. Thank you for Yogui.
You know, an interesting thing though too, which is I guess one of those maybe just either it's a misunderstanding or a mistranslation or just a mistake. But in her collected miscellany video that Dainsleif is the one who narrates it, he says that she got the attention of the Adepti because of her playing with this adeptal device. And they show a crane that kind of insinuates that it's Cloud Retainer. But I'm like, if Cloud Retainer made it, like, is this just another Adepti that was trying to kidnap her? Or did something just get messed up and they're like, oh, wait, no, we're going to change the story up a bit?
Interesting. Yeah, I bet they changed it, especially if she was conceived so much earlier than she was released. But you never know.
Yeah, it's a really good question, though.
Yeah, I was like, hey, Dainsleif, you got some bad info there, buddy.
I want to be like, Dainsleif, stop.
Yeah.
Did someone rewrite this? An Irminsul?
Yeah.
Dainsleif rewrote it in Irminsul.
Yeah. Just got all messed up.
Can we talk about how I really believe that Yaoyao is like the most beloved person in the game? And I have evidence because I wrote down all of the words used to describe Yaoyao and her actions. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. Lovable, smiley, warm-hearted, considerate, gentle, caring, earnest, generous, enviable, talented, driven, pure, clever, sincere, responsible, gifted, and enthusiastic.
It sounds like a job. Like, yeah, I called someone and asked if they could give a reference for me for my job.
Isn't that like insane? Like, I feel like when I was reading through her lore, I've never heard so many compliments be used for a character.
Yeah.
And then if you read like dialogue, it's like every time that she's described by anyone, it's like just like this like onslaught of compliments about her disposition and her personality.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she's adorable.
Yeah, she seems like a wonderful character, honestly. Someone I'd love to know IRL.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what she's like when she grows up.
Yeah.
And she keeps that tenacity and innocence, or if something's going to happen.
She'll be Chi-Chi's caretaker at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, stop.
I also saw that her name actually means fine jade, which can also be translated further to like beautiful and precious and things like that, which I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. You can tell the developers really love her.
Mm-hmm. So I apologize if I get any of this wrong, but I am going to link it on the site. But this was like a last thing that I found. She may potentially be a reference to something in real life, to a Chinese mythology of a moon goddess. So I'll link, there's a Redditor who wrote this whole big thing about it, and it's fantastic. So I apologize if I get the name wrong too, because I'm not good at saying things. So it's a story about someone called Chang. She was married to a hunter named Huai. Again, I apologize. I might be saying it completely wrong. And one of the things that he did in life was actually he created the elixir for immortality. And there's stories within like this story that, over years mythology changes and stuff. So either she drank it or there was somebody who robbed it while he was hunting. Somehow she ingested this immortality. And it's said that she is just hovering up around the moon with a bunny.
With a what?
With a bunny. With a rabbit, a jade rabbit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's a less widely known, that part of the story, but it said that that's her who accompanies her on the moon as she's just hanging around. And then there's also, a lot of detail that goes into this character, that she has these braided bow hair and everything like that, which is also like, yeah. I didn't get to dig too much deeper into it, but it's great. And we know that they use a lot of like mythology and stuff like that, and especially when it comes to, I feel like with Liyue, since it's representing Chinese culture and thing like that, I think that it would make complete sense, and especially if they love her that much, that she would be based off of this beautiful character who's a quote unquote moon goddess.
Well, maybe she's the reincarnation.
I I think it's interesting though too that you mentioned that this person that you're referencing like drank a immortality elixir, because Yaoyao is best friends with Chi-Chi, whose like faux dad is looking for immortality.
Yep.
So it makes me a little curious if something is going to happen to Yaoyao through Baizhu. I mean, we all know that Baizhu, I shouldn't say no one knows this. There's been a lot of assumptions that Baizhu might be using Chi-Chi as an experiment of sorts, and that's why a lot of people are sus of him. Hu Tao is definitely one of those people. So is it possible that he's going to go to give an elixir to Chi-Chi or to himself, and Yaoyao is going to drink it by accident? Because her voice line about Baizhu is about his medicine and how bitter it is. And Baiju's voice line back is like, she thinks my medicine's bitter, but what does it matter if it makes the patient better?
Well, I don't know, but all I know is that I really, really love Yaoyao's friendship with Chi-Chi because it is like one of the most beautiful things in this game. Because first of all, Chi-Chi says about Yaoyao, cute, like a nice little finch. And Yaoyao confirms that Chi-Chi is her best friend in her voice lines. But Yaoyao reminds Chi-Chi when it's Chi-Chi's birthday. And at one point on Chi-Chi's birthday, she told her, like, after reminding her, oh, it's your birthday. By the way, if you blow out all your candles, you can make a wish. But then Chi-Chi was scared that she wouldn't be able to blow them all out, so she froze them.
Oh.
And Yaoyao says that she doesn't get offended when Chi-Chi forgets who she is. She just tells her to check her notebook, and then Chi-Chi remembers. And then after talking to Baizhu, she kind of realized that, oh, there's probably never going to be a cure for Chi-Chi. So she says that she'll probably have to remind her who she is for her whole life, but that's okay.
Oh,
baby.
And I told y'all, like, what I really wanted to see after the last Lantern Rite was Yaoyao as a grown-up, like having a daughter and like introducing her to Chi-Chi to be like Chi-Chi's new best friend.
Yeah.
I can't. That would be so heartwarming.
I know.
So Chi-Chi's Yaoyao's best friend, but we also know that Chi-Chi's Klee's best friend too, right? Because we see them in a Lantern Rite, or at least we see Klee. I mean, I guess Klee's in love with everybody, but I'm wondering, do Klee and Yaoyao know each other? Is there like a little convention of littles?
Ooh, well, in my teapot there is.
I don't think that Klee has a voice line about Yaoyao, but that doesn't mean that they don't know each other, of course.
You know the video I'm talking about, though, the one that was, I think it must have been the 2023 Lantern Rite, when it was like not a cutscene that we saw in the Lantern Rite, like in the game. It was one that was released after, and it's a beautiful video that you see all the characters all doing different stuff, and you see Klee like pulling Chi-Chi like through the sheets.
Yeah, and Klee makes like an explosion at one point, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And Albedo's like looking for her in the streets.
It's cute.
No, it's a great video. But I'm not sure. I mean, they might know each other, maybe not well. I always wonder how canon those videos are.
Yeah.
Because we see all the Archons drinking together in that too at the time. And I'd like to believe that's happening, but who knows, right?
Yeah. I mean, they make it seem like Ayato's not sus, so it could just be all false.
Well, we know this
wow.
is. Well, I do think that's all the time we have to talk about Yaoyao, because Kirara is here. She's still got her little like Puss in Boots fit on, and she's giving me a dirty look because I made her take all the mail back last week. So we do have 2 messages this week that we have to read and answer. And our first message comes from Aziram. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. It's Azirim. And they said, hope all is well, and thank you for another wonderful episode. I can't wait for the start of your next season. They sent this to us in the in-between. As we mentioned, Kirara had a backup of mail. They go, I just have 2 things I wanted to bring up after listening to your most recent episode, Shades of Teyvat. First, the reference to Acheron's moon and Crimson Moon / A's plane of Euthymia reminded me of another Honkai star rail in Genshin Connection. If you look back at Black Swan's traces, her talent is called Loom of Fate's Caprice. Coincidence? Possibly. Interesting? Very. Brandon, Black Swan. Didn't you want Black Swan?
I do, but not enough to spend my wishes on her. But I love Black Swan as a character. But I do think that is really exciting and interesting. You know, Loom of Fate's Caprice. Again, like I said last time, I'm not really up to speed on Star Rail's lore, but I love hearing about it. All I know about Black Swan is that she's a memo keeper, which means that she's a collector of memories. And memo keepers, I know they travel to other worlds to collect memories for their eon. So the fact that one of her traces is called Luma Fate's Caprice, and I believe caprice means just like a sudden change, right?
That's not the tomato mozzarella sandwich.
No, that's caprese. Way more delicious than a caprice. So I feel like that is really interesting. I mean, because we know that she is someone that would travel to different worlds. So maybe the game will end with Black Swan showing up and doing something to the Luma Fate.
Well, it makes you wonder, too, if she's possibly taking the memory from someone who that person is and if they're going to pop up in Star Rail.
Oh my God, what if it's Kari Bear?
Oh my God.
Okay, there will be one way I will play Honkai. If Kari Bear shows up, I'm playing.
Oh my God. Yes. Do you hear that, Hoyo? Make it happen. Oh my God, that would be crazy. Or our sibling. Like, our sibling actually is nowhere to be found in Teyvat. They're actually on the Astral Express. They're a new person over there. Maybe they, we don't know. There have been other people on the Express before us as well, the Nameless. It's totally possible that someone on the Astral Express was from Teyvat originally.
Yeah.
You don't know.
I mean, there is a wind glider on Herta Space Station that was retrieved from Teyvat, so.
Oh, and the plot thickens. Well, thank you, Aziram. I appreciate your question. I know Tiff is shuddering, shivering,
thank you.
Whatever in the corner.
I'll say thank you because you're awesome, but not because you talked about Honkai. A kid.
Our next message comes from Kimiko, and they said, all right, you're stuck on an island. Which character would you take with you to survive?
I have several answers.
Oh my God.
Because if there's one thing with this podcast, we are never able to pick one thing.
No.
Anytime you give us a question, you will have 5 answers when it's this type of question.
But that's what makes it so fun.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Fiends to pull out like the board.
Well, Brandon can go first.
Okay, I'm glad I'm going before Fiends because 2 of my answers are Albedo and Kaya.
Shit, really? Okay.
Albedo, because he could just draw us a boat and then make it real.
Stop.
Or at least food, right?
Just draw a boat to go home.
Yeah. Like, and if we don't have like pen and paper, just draw it in the sand. And then Kaya, or it could be other cryo characters, but just someone to make us an ice bridge. And then we just walk off the island.
Like when you get to the Thousand Winds extension site.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I do know, I'm sure that would be really exhausting for someone to use that much magic all at once. So for the cryo option, I think I might go with Fremine because he could just dive and then like walk on the bottom of the ocean and get us help.
That's true. Okay. But Kai is king of the ice bridges. So
he is, yes. I mean, there are others that can make an ice bridge, like Ayaka, but Kai is, the standard.
He's the OG.
Yeah. But I just love the idea that Fremine could like maybe make an ice bridge, but then if he gets tired, he could just walk on the bottom of the seafloor. Now, 3 other options.
3 other options?
Yes. So Razor, Tainari, Kazuha. Why? Because they're all great at wilderness survival.
That's true.
Now, I'm going to say one over the others. And it's not just because I'm biased, but it's Kazuha. But the real reason that I would choose Kazuha if I were stranded on an island is that Kazuha could blow away the inevitable smoke monster.
Oh my
nice God, not the lost.
You're welcome.
Is that it? That's it?
That's it. That's it. Thank you, Kimiko. We love you.
So my immediate thought, like my first in my mind one was Kuki, because I'm like, she's a problem solver. But then I was like, well, no, she solves problems with the law and like getting in trouble. That's not really going to help us much on an island. So then I was like, well, what about Ito? Because I mean, he's big and strong and, he could, I don't know, beat up a boar. But I was like,
Do you not remember him trying to break that door with his head? Was that his head or did he punch it? And it didn't open.
Yeah, and he fell over and it was just like dazed.
Yeah.
But then I actually my answer though is Kazuha, because I think if I was stranded on an island, I would start to freak out. And as I mentioned before, Kazua's packing. He's got some kind of good weed, or got some seeds that he's gonna propagate the island. And I'm just gonna be stoned on the beach with Kazuma, and we're gonna be like, maybe Tomo will come back and get us. It's
Oh,
okay.
no, not the vengeance ghost. All right. Well, I have two. My initial response is Tinyari because he is a botanist. He knows what mushrooms are good and bad to eat. We know he could set up a campsite. We know that he can fish. These are all things that I've seen in game. Like that he can do shit so I can survive. But also, he's very calm. There's a chance he also could be a bit of a pothead, so we could have a little bit of fun. We know he likes to drink, so there's even a chance he might know a little bit about making wine.
He would bring mushrooms.
But he also has like the super hearing and the super like the good sense of smell. So I feel like he'd be able to know if we were going to be in danger or not. And then my second thought was Sino, because he's constantly out in the desert for God knows how long at a time. And they had that little mini event like on the, like I guess it was a web event in the Hoyoverse app where you literally had to pack your bag to go with Sino into the desert. And he was like, make sure you bring enough water. And as we were about to go out into the desert for Sino's second story quest about the Temple of Silence, like he's like, do we have enough water? We need this for this many days. And we could play TCG. He'd teach me a card game. He'd tell me some bad jokes. So I feel like if I got one half of Sainari, I'd be good. Either one.
Well, I feel like Tainari would be a lot better than Sino. But that's because Sino would react, whereas Tainari would just know, like Sino would like, if he prepared before the island, he'd be great. Whereas Tainari is like, no, I know what to do anywhere. That's wilderness.
But my only fear with Tinyari is if it's hot. We know he doesn't do well.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the kind of island.
Yeah, like, is this like the island in SpongeBob, where it's just like one palm tree and that's it?
The island in Lost? Is it the island, like an actual desert island?
Is it on the Golden Apple Archipelago?
Yeah. Is it the island of Mondstadt City? I don't know.
Is it the Staten Island?
Oh, God.
Oh, what would be worse? That would be the worst if you were stuck in Staten Island.
I mean, then I would choose Nandor from What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh my gosh. If I was stuck on Staten Island, I'd bring Navia. She's gonna fuck people up.
The Spina is definitely gonna help you on Staten Island.
Yes, it's her or Hu Tao, because Hu Tao won't give a fuck and she'll like beat people up.
Yeah.
And Hu Tao will be like, this place is trash. We love you, Staten Island, but you're made of trash.
You think there are people on this island?
They're literally made of trash. Like half the island is the freaking landfill.
Trash.
Oh, the shade.
It's facts.
Yeah.
It's just the fact. Google it.
There are certain things when you grow up in this area that you have to dislike.
Staten
Island is number
the
one.
The other is every Philly team that's ever played a game, and Boston.
Well, I'm sorry, but everyone in New York hates Jersey, so
I don't.
What are you going to say to that?
Yeah, but they're going to pick us over Staten Island.
Oh, you think so?
Oh,
yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It's unless you're from Staten Island.
Yeah.
We love you, Staten Island.
And then if you were from Staten Island, you went to Jersey Shore. So
that's facts. Pauly D. Who's there? Anyway, Kimiko, thank you so much for the question.
Yes, thank you.
That is all the time we have for today, unfortunately. If you like this episode or you didn't like this episode and you want to let us know what you think, you can email us at talesoftevatpod@gmail.com. Additionally, you can join our Discord server that we have in conjunction with the Shade Chamber podcast, which is Shades of Teyvat. It is a 18+ server where we talk about Genshin, Star Rail, general stuff. There was a lot about Cornhenge this week, which was mind-blowing for me. If you're interested in joining the Discord server, you can join by going to bit.ly/Shades of Teyvat with no spaces, no capitalizations. Additionally, you can follow us on Instagram, Tales of Teyvat Pod, or on Twitter, Tales of Teyvat, to keep up to date on everything going on with us. Otherwise, next week, we are going to be talking about the one, the only Natland so far. I can't wait. We're going to have a How on next week, and he's just going to go, curse you, mortal fools, the whole time, and we won't actually be able to record a podcast. I'm very excited to talk about How.
It will be the last episode of the podcast.
how just implodes all of our mics.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to be talking about the Natlan story so far and everything that we've learned up until this point with the main storyline and the Archon quest. So we're really excited about that. We've been looking forward to this for, honestly, it feels like a year, but we've only gotten in the last few weeks. Otherwise, safe journeys, travelers. We'll see you next time.
Bye, precocious nerds. Stay prim, proper, and polite.
Oh my god, is this like the Princess Academy? Like,
Everybody gets a
yeah,
radish.
Everybody, you get a radish.
Yes.